Exactly, guys. Boeing is building a brand new 747 Air Force One for future presidents, but costs are out of control. More than $4 billion. Canceled order. Pete, since I understand you're about to get on a plane and fly halfway around the world, your take on Mr. Trump's tweet concerning a new Air Force One.
Go for it. Americans are hurting. You know, we've got huge deficits. A $4 billion plane for the president. Donald Trump's absolutely right. Cancel the order. I've got some experience with Boeing on a satellite system that they were building when I was in Congress. Massive overruns. The best thing we did is we killed the program.
And you know what, Tom, I don't mean to say let's all just kind of pounce on Boeing, but since you and I were so concerned about border security, you remember that whole deal that was supposed to give us all the cameras and all the high-tech border stuff? Pardon the pun since we're talking about an aircraft, but that border surveillance deal flat out crashed. The other trick, Tom, is if you read that statement that Miranda referred to, it said, we're currently, investing $170 million. Here it is. We're currently under contract for $170 million. This is parsing the phrase, is it not? Because all three of us, we've heard guys come in saying, well, we start right here. It's not where they start with the cost, it's where they finish up, right?
That's for sure. And another little irony with regard to that story about Boeing and their attempts to build a security system that would provide, you know, sort of virtual security on the border. The building in which that particular effort was housed was surrounded by and protected by a chain link fence.
Oh, yeah, well, you know, this is the whole thing, right? It's the same thing at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. There's a great big fence around the White House, which helps us segue into security, Pete Hoekstra, because obviously, as former chairman of the Intelligence Committee, you understand the threats that our commander-in-chief would face. We have tried to build in security safeguards. There are a lot of folks out there who say, wait a minute, the way avionics is advancing, the way we are working to come up with high-tech, evasive, and I hate to sound like Star Trek, but in essence, even cloaking devices, it's going to cost money. Is it conceivable it could cost as much as $4 billion?
Well, I don't know whether you can get to $4 billion or whether $4 billion is a good deal or not, but I can tell you $4 billion for one or two planes sounds like an awful lot of money. Donald Trump has looked at it. Obviously, this guy has bought his own planes. He has some idea as to what this may cost and what is a good investment and what's a good deal. He's looked at it and say, wait a minute, you know, we've got to protect the taxpayers here. And sure, it's the brand of the United States, but, you know, let's protect the taxpayers here.
Tom, you want to say something? Go ahead, Tom Tancredo.
I was just going to say, I think there's a little more to it than even that. And although I think that's a very legitimate concern that we should all have, and I'm glad he's expressing it. But I also think this has something to do with Boeing's past charities to which they have contributed, including, of course, the most significant, something like $100 million to the Clinton Family Foundation, the Crime Family Foundation. That they have done that in anticipation, of course, as all the other people who had contributed, all the other big contributors, of something good happening should Hillary be elected. Well, you know, maybe this is Donald sending him a message that, hey, she didn't get elected. And beside which, I think I've seen a bumper sticker that's supposed to go on his plane, on Trump one, that says, my other plane is Air Force One. So,
bumper stickers aside, well, if we were going to put a bumper sticker on Trump Force One tonight, it would say thank you. The tour continues, and Mr. Trump tweeted out his itinerary for the rest of the week. Tonight, he's in North Carolina. Then he heads to Iowa in 2 days, and then later in the week on December 9th in Michigan. But, Pete, I guess you're going to be in Japan. You're not going to be in Grand Rapids with the president-elect. But you can never go wrong saying thank you to the folks, can you?
No, absolutely. And the interesting thing is, I've been invited to go to Japan to meet with the Japanese Conservative Union. Why? Because they are celebrating the election of Donald Trump. From an economic standpoint, from a national security standpoint, I think many of our friends in Japan are thrilled about the change that they're seeing here in the U.S. administration. But Trump going around, this will be the 5th time I think he's been in West Michigan in the last 6 months, and 4th time in the last 5 or 6 weeks, going back and saying thank you for all the work and all the votes that they generated. It's exciting.
And maybe by extension, Tom, Pete can say thank you to the Japanese. That announcement from SoftBank Japan,
right.
$50 billion, 50,000 jobs here in the United States. Mr. Trump making the announcement. We've got about 30 seconds. For all the talk about Mr. Trump being a, quote, economic nationalist, doesn't seem that he minds this foreign investment, does he?
No, I don't think so, nor should he, of course. And I think it's so great. It is driving the media and the pundits and the establishment nuts. How can he be doing this? He hasn't even been inaugurated. He can't make these decisions. He can't say these things. They're going crazy. And the crazier they go, the better he does in the polls. His popularity rating is up, I think it's like 14 points since the election. It's astounding. And God bless him. Keep it up.
Well, we are going to keep up this discussion, gentlemen. We ask you to stay right where you are, and we'd ask you to stay where you are as you watch our program. Is it possible our fighter jets might be built in India? That's what President Obama wants to see happen. Can we ground that program? Should we? We'll talk about it next.